we live? Yes. All right. Please hold one moment. All right. Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Lesson Learned, a conversation about Mythcraft and Mythcraft related content. My name is Corey Griffin, and as you can see, today we're going to be going over the Mythcraft role playing game character sheet, and I might make my camera a little bit smaller. But we are just going to make a very basic character, basic level 1 character. All right. Let me see if I can fix my camera size a little bit so y'all can see everything. There we go. All right. All right. So, like I said, we are going to be making a level 1 character using this character sheet. I've decided we're going to make Jebediah Marcolin, who I decided I'm just gonna make a very basic human character and input the information onto the character sheet as needed. All right. So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to choose our lineage, following our progression. The first thing that we need to do is choose a lineage. We have chosen human for our lineage. Um, what that's going to give us is that is going to give us tenacious, which gives us one additional attribute point, which we will set up here in just a moment. And it'll also give us one other thing, one of from the list. And I personally am going to take offensive rush with this character. And what offensive rush is going to give us is once per turn, when moving toward a hostile creature, we may move an additional 10 feet for 0 action points. All right. Now, with that chosen, the thing we need to do next is we need to think about our background and our profession. Um, I am thinking about going the nice and simple um, born warrior and um, guard kind of profession. All right. So, with that being said, I have 12 skill points I can spend on any of the following skills. I'm going to break it down into 4 skills just for like to talk about it. Okay. For consistency's sake, I'm going to fix this up. Obviously, when you're building your character, you don't necessarily need to only pick 4 skills. I just decided that that was the way I was going with this guy. Um, Hello, whoever's watching. Glad to have you. Um, I am going to have to put us all on a slight break for a moment before I come back and get back to explaining. All right, I'm very sorry about that. I am now back. So, like I said, I'm plugging in our skills real quick. I decided I want to make this character kind of really good at a few things and kind of good at a couple others. So, from my Born Warrior background, I put a +4 into Applied Force, a +4 into Fortuity, a +4 into Animal Handling, and a +4 into Leadership. Um, I am taking the average for my currency. Because I know I'm gonna go with the guard background, I do get the occupation bonus because it has the militant tag, which is a +2 to force to march. All right. Now for my guard, I get a +3 to my perceiving. I took a +1 to athletics, a +1 to history, and a +1 to intimidating. Kind of making that kind of almost grizzled, non-distinct guard that everyone might see, everyone might not see. Okay. Also, we get the uh, private security lineage ability or profession ability, which is we're a low ranking member of a private security group. We are tasked with guarding a private location, and where we're at that location, we will get food and lodgings for free. And um, we can also um, provide food and lodging for up to 5 of our travel companions at this location. Also, for every day that we spend guarding, we make 1 silver coin at the end of each consecutive week. We gain an additional +3 silver coins. So, like in 1 week, if we guarded it for 7 days, we would make 10 silver coins. All right. After that, we're actually going to have to assign our attributes. So generally, you have 5. We, however, have 6 attributes to spend because of the tenacious feature for being a human. So I think actually I'm going to do it here because here's all 8 stats. I'm going to put a 2 in my strength, a 0 in my dexterity, a 0 in my endurance, a 2 in my awareness, a 0 in my intellect and charisma, and a 2 in our coordination. Now, if I really wanted to min-max a little bit, I might take a negative to dexterity and intellect to bump up my luck to 2 so that I could get a luck point and get a reroll once per rest if needed. Now I'm just filling in the defenses, which are just 10 plus the number above them. All right. I'm filling in some things for future items. Some other things that we get from our background and our occupation is we get a rucksack, a spear, chainmail armor, some simple clothes, torches, a deck of cards, some manacles. I kind of imagine it like a insignia of rank being a pin. So a private's pin, a hooded lantern, and a flask of oil. So we got all these things just for being a guard, which is wonderful and beneficial in its own way. All right. While 13 HP might feel really squishy, this is level 1, and we're not building hit points in this one in particular yet. There's definitely a case to be made that you can eventually build into some more hit points. I just chose not to yet. All right. So the next thing that we're gonna do is Now we got our attributes squared away. We've noted our stats. Next, we're going to pick a starting talent. And this is going to be this is where most of the time I spend a lot of time to look. All right. I might look really far, really specialize something, or maybe try to find something that fits the flavor for the character I'm making. But today, instead of all of that, I am actually going to take the magic talent, Disciple of the Divine. All right. What that's going to do for us is it's going to give us some access to this next page here. All right. So our source is going to be Divine 1. Maximum spell points is 10. Current spell casting ability will be Charisma, which for us isn't super high right now, but it is something I plan to buff up in time. All right. With that Disciple of the Divine talent, we get spell points, we get our divine power, we also get access to the divine magic stack. We gain 2 talents from the divine magic stack. You do not gain additional spell points or divine power from these selections. And it chooses our magical attribute as charisma. And what I decided to go with was divine magic and quickened recovery. So normally I place it up here. So divine magic and quickened recovery. Now, with that being said, what divine magic does for us is it's going to let us learn 1 prayer, 1 divine ritual, and 2 divine spells. And what quickened recovery will do for us is once per recoup, when casting a spell that involves the invoking tag to restore hit points, we reduce its action point cost by 1 to a minimum of 1. If you can't tell, I'm building kind of a pseudo frontline, pseudo healer kind of character with this. So the prayers that I'm going to go with or the prayer singular, because we only got 1 right now, that I'm going to go with for this character is going to be stabilizing touch. What that's going to do is that's going to let us spend 2 action points to stop a dying ally. So when they end their turn at 0 HP, they do not gain death points like they normally would. Now, the divine ritual that I'm going to get, I'm going to grab is going to be empathy. What empathy will do is when we complete this ritual, we can choose 1 allied creature within range, which for this character, the range is 30 feet. For the duration or until you cast this ritual again, whenever that creature takes damage, the damage is divided equally between you and them. Now for the 2 spells. If you can't tell, I'm going to want some healing spells. So there's a couple really good ones for that in the Divine track. The one I'm probably going to take is going to be Healing Touch. And for 3 action points and 4 spell points, when we touch one willing creature and they gain 1d8 hit points. Okay. The other spell that I'm going to take, and this is for later on down this character's career, you could take some other ones. I'm thinking things like Burst of Healing could be very strong. Or even something like Burial or Censor. What I'm actually going to take for this character is going to be Commandment. Mostly because I don't know what actual level. I don't even know if I'll actually play this character in game. But I'd rather make something that takes spells I can use right off the rip. And what Commandment's going to do for us is for 2 action points and for 4 spell points and at a range to 40 feet, we make a magic attack, which for us right now will be +0, against the willpower, which at this level, we have more than a 50% chance of hitting most enemies we will fight at this level. If we miss, we expend our action points as normal, but we don't expend our spell points. If we hit, we get to issue a 1-word command order, and then that creature must obey it to the best of their ability on their next turn. While the creature must follow your command as it is aware, so the creature does have to follow your command, and it is aware that it is being magically influenced. This effect will last until the end of your next turn. There are some example words and some effects that they give us for some usage, but any specific effects of words that are not listed here are up to your Mythcrafter to decide how that actually works in your game. So some of the examples that I see frequently are things like drop. A creature must drop an item it's holding and cannot pick up that item for the duration of the spell. Flee. The creature must use all of its available actions to move as far away from you as it can. Kneel. I see that used as well. A creature must fall prone and take no further actions. Those are probably 3 of the more powerful ones. Obviously, if you come up with other things, just make sure your Mythcrafter knows. If you're going to be spicy with the spell, make sure your Mythcrafter knows what you're trying to get. Yes, Klaus, it is definitely not a negative, so it's definitely a bonus. All right. So there are a couple other things that we get to do here. So all people get to make some decisions. Okay. Whether that is, no matter what your background is, what your occupation is, what your profession is, you get this list of starting equipment that you can choose to take or not to take. I'm going to take it because I'm always going to take everything I can. So in rank 1, we get to make a choice between 3 options. We can either get a two one-handed melee weapons, um, or one two-handed or one hand and a half melee weapons, or one one-handed melee weapon and a buckler. I'm actually going to go that route and grab a short sword and a buckler. The next options that we get to make are between a short bow and 20 arrows, a crossbow and 20 bolts, or 3 javelins. I will be taking the javelins because I am a strength-based character. Next thing that, or we can forego the buckler and the javelin and instead get an amethyst wand if that would be more effective for our build. However, at this point, it is not. Um, Now, for the final thing that we get is we get to make a choice between a quarterstaff, a hatchet, 2 daggers, 2 knives, a cestus, or brass knuckles. Um, I'm actually probably going to grab a cestus here. Which my reason for that is one, it will increase my armor rating by 1, and it will give me a 2 AP, 1d4 strength based blunt attack. And then normally you would get 2 trinkets. Not 100% sure if I have dice on me nearby, so let me roll some digital dice real quick. Please hold just a moment while I pull this up. Okay, I got a 35 and a 4 for our trinkets. So with a 4, we get a coin-sized seed that holds sentimental value or needs. Okay, so with our 4, we got a coin-sized seed that holds that either A holds sentimental value to us or B needs specific planting conditions. The other thing that I rolled was a 35, which is a small bone with a fossilized sprig of vegetation growing out of it. Now, that being said, there's so much fun I can have with just those 2 items when it comes to like writing backstory things and like just in general getting enjoyment out of the maybe a little bit of help backstory. Yeah, yeah, just like Klaus said, fossilized bone could equal an ancestral club. Um, but like being able to have a coin site, like maybe once upon a time we our family owned a farm and something happened. Well, one, backtrack a little bit. Our family used to own a farm in like a very tucked away corner of the woods. where that we could grow this very specific uh, fruit or whatever, and at some point our farm was raided, and no longer um, can that farm grow the fruit like it used to. Maybe because it was burned down, even, which, and the only two things we were able to save were a coin sized seed that we would plant every day. And when we went back after we got away from the fire, we all we could find was a small bone with that fossilized sprig of vegetation that was once going to be this tree that we grew. See, sometimes a little bit of help with the backstory things is nice and beneficial. And then after that, we decided, you know what, we're gonna walk away. This is no longer something we want to. We can't save it, and we moved to private security after that. Maybe trying to make sure that no one else ever loses uh, their homes like we did. Now, the reason for the armor rating and the reduced speed is because I do have chainmail armor on this build, and I do not have a talent to take off the restriction, which is part of the reason I wanted the two in strength. Now, as we continue scrolling down and we get down to the last page, this is okay. 13 HP at level 1 is the average HP of a level 1 character. But yeah, he does need all the help he can get HP wise. Now, we don't really have any resources that we could fill in down here any further. Um, at least not at level 1. Though we can definitely eventually see some things with this character it might get. Things like monastic tradition and some uh, divine icons, because there's a lot of things I can do. Or even things like the Zealot aura, depending on how it ends up actually working in play. In here, I would definitely mention like what is uh, Jebediah um, guarding. Like what is that? Where is he providing his thing? You could also, I guess, put that in uh, down here. Um, you know, where is our home? Who is our family? Who are our I mean, once per round resource. Sorry. Um, but yeah, for the most part, guys, today I just wanted to go over the character sheet just a little bit. Maybe try and get you guys familiarized with it a little. Um, we get a buff from the buckler. We're actually a pretty tanky little guy that can heal our friends and stop any other tragedies that could potentially be happening. And maybe even tell that fool of a rogue to halt every now and then. I know I went through this kind of quickly because we're at like um, 36 minutes, and I thought this would take me an hour. Um, but are there any questions that you all have about specifically the character sheet or how things are in there? Klaus, that is not a question for me. How to get your uh AR to 25 at level 1? I don't know. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And it made sense when he did it. I don't know how he did it. Yeah, kind of. Rebel, kind of that hands the GM. Uh, no, that is perfectly understandable, Klaus. I'm glad you, even though you have used these character sheets before, and I've helped you through that, you've decided to make an appearance. I do appreciate it. Um, it doesn't necessarily have to be character development. Klaus question. It's the character sheet itself. Is there anything that you find questionable or anything like that? But with that being said, I am going to make a slight detour over to the most recent quasi-real um, backer kit that they're running right now, and it is going to be it is called Start the Fire. They've teamed up with a rockstar cast of pissed off writers and artists to create an anthology of digital only TTRPG content, adventures, playbooks, weird little systems, stuff that you can drop straight into your campaign, stuff that you might pick up only for a game session or three. You know, um, it is an explosive new digital anthology. Take on the roles of heroes, refugees, lawyers, and even the common folk struggling to survive under a brutal new regime. Salomon, Nathan, I can tell you wrote that name. I can tell you wrote that name because I can't say it. The Conqueror, uh, and the assistant to the Emperor have taken the world by storm as their armies surge across the world. Nation after nation falls to his unrelenting cruelty. Dis- Desperate heroes launch guerrilla warfare against the mighty empire. Clerks, clergy, and governors with pure intent try to deploy their power fighting the very system that granted it. And every civilian seeks a shred of hope in a hopeless world. Samurai? Okay, I guess that is a fairly accurate way of saying it. Um, so Start the Fire is a 12 episode anthology in 3 acts. This includes 5 adventures for D&D 5e, 7 adventures for D&D 5e and Mythcraft, 5 standalone games, and 6 short stories. Play in order, maybe start a new game, or pull out your favorites and plug them into your own game. I'm not going to go down and just read this whole thing. The backer kit link will should if the um god the streaming gods were nice to me and didn't lose me all of my progress earlier. Link should be in the episode description. If it's not, I'm sorry. That being said, as always, Lessons Learned is a shoot off of our podcast, Tales of Yavard, which is a Mythcraft TTRPG actual play podcast. And we do have some dice sponsors, Baron of Dice. Baron of Dice makes high quality, super. Please hold. Baron of Dice. Their dice are hand mixed with premium resin and colored dyes, then poured into a silicone mold before being laser engraved with one of many wicked symbols. And lastly, finished in a matte or gloss polish to achieve that near perfect result every time. There are no balancing issues, no micro bubbles, or mold lines. And I can honestly tell you, you can quite literally feel and hear the difference when you roll these dice. So whether it's for your war games or your TTRPGs, whatever team you're in, they're ready to elevate your game. Now, with all of my normal shoutouts done, are there any questions on the character sheet, specifically things that maybe I didn't explain very well, things that you struggle to find where to place it yourselves? All right, guys. I hope that all of you have a wonderful week and a wonderful time. If you want to see how character sheets are turned into uh, masterpieces, go ahead and check out our actual play podcast at talesofyavard.com. At wow, link.tr dot linktree / Tales of Yavard, and check out our actual play podcast, Tales of Yavard. Thank you all for watching me stumble upon this relatively short video for the week. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Hopefully, we'll see you next week.